braised vegetables in a red wine sauce. Hi friends, today we're making braised vegetables in a red wine sauce. To me, this is basically going to be a stew, but we're not cooking it like stew, we're cooking it like a braise. So whether it's just vegetables or more of a stew, that really just kind of depends on how much liquids you eventually use. It's really just your decision. So we're going to get some onions and mushrooms in a pot. I'm using a heavy bottom pot. This is going to cook for a while. So I'm just going to start by putting some color on onions and mushrooms. You guys, this is going to be so good. And if you're watching this and you think, but I don't drink red wine, that's fine. You don't have to use wine in the sauce. You could just replace the wine with some stock. Absolutely. Always do what works for you. But I'm making it wine because, you know why. Because wine is good. I like wine in my food sometimes. Okay, so I am going to cut these onions in a little bit of thicker slices than I normally do because I don't want them to completely break down while they're cooking. So I'm just going to do some thickish slices. I mean, you could definitely do whatever you want. You could also use just whatever variety of onions you like. So I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons of a neutral oil, and I'm seeing some smoke already. Turn that down. Woo-wee. And I have a pound of mushrooms that I've already cleaned. I'm going to keep them in a decent size as well. I don't want them to disappear in our stew. So for the small ones, I'm going to leave them this size. And the more medium size, I'm going to cut in half. I've already turned it down, so. Yeah, I like that. We're just going to let that cook for about 5 minutes until everything starts getting some color on it. So we're going to put in our next set of vegetables in this pot. We're going to go ahead and prep that. I'm starting with some parsnips. I have just scrubbed these guys, so I'm going to chop them up. Any of my vegetables to disappear in this this dish, so I'm definitely not going to be cutting anything very small. If you haven't had parsnips before, I recommend you try them. They're really, really delicious. I love fall because you get an opportunity to eat some more of these fall, like tubers that aren't available during other parts of the year. I've also got these sweet potatoes that I bought. Let's see what we have in here. These are purple sweet potatoes. So I'm probably just going to use 2. But my attempt is to fill up this pot today. So I'm just going to give these guys a peel. I'm doing a stovetop braise today. I pretty much always do an oven braise. I wanted to do this on the stovetop just to show you guys how easy it is. It's just easier for me to open the lid and show you what's going on if it's not in the oven. The only real difference between a stovetop braise and an oven braise is it is a little bit easier to control the temperature in an oven than it is on the stovetop. But I'm just going to keep an eye on it. So our onions and mushrooms are looking really good. I'm going to go ahead and throw in these parsnips. Start getting a little bit of color on those guys. And the purple sweet potatoes, as you can see, are not purple on the inside. They are white. You know, you guys can cut your vegetables any size that you want for this. I just don't, you know, I like big chunks of vegetables sometimes, so, especially if I'm making a stew. So that's really what I'm going for here. Looks like I've lost quite a bit of temperature already. And then I have 6 carrots. I have scrubbed these carrots. So I'm just going to give them a quick chop. And I'll probably use all of them. My pot's not full yet, and I'm trying to get a full pot here. Can you start peeling that garlic for me? Start breaking it down. That would be actually so very helpful. Because I'm going to try to use a bunch of that. Man, that's looking good, huh, guys? Look at all those vegetables. Yum. All right, I'm using a bunch of garlic in this dish. I just wanted to have a kind of a great roasted garlic flavor. You guys can either not use garlic or just use whatever you like. It's totally fine. I'm just giving this garlic kind of a rough chop. It's going to break down a lot because it's going to be in small pieces. This is not a quick cooking dish, guys. I mean, it doesn't take all day or anything, but it does take some time. But you will be so grateful when it's over. All right, all this garlic is going in. This is about half of a head of garlic. You guys can use what you like. All right, so these are starting to get a little color on them. And they're losing a little bit of liquid, obviously. So now I'm going to go in with the seasonings. I've got some, I'm just using thyme, red pepper flakes, and paprika for now, okay? I'm also going to do some salt, but not too much because I'm adding some other sodium things in here. You'll see what I mean in a second. And I'm going to put some pepper in here. We want this well flavored. The whole point of braising is to bring out all of the flavors. really good. And also, I'm going to add a tablespoon of miso paste. Just to like bring that umami flavor up a little bit more, even though it's filled with mushrooms and it's going to have tomatoes. I'm still going to give it a little bit more flavor here. All right, that's about a tablespoon. So I'm just going to try to mix this miso paste in a little bit. And if you're gluten-free, you may not be aware that gluten-free flour often has ingredients that allow it to thicken products like stew. So I am using the Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1. This is really just my gluten-free flour of choice. So I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons of this. And I'm just going to make sure I coat all of my vegetables. This actually looks meaty. And I just have a stalk of rosemary I'm going to throw on top. We're going to add a couple more things to give this more flavor. I just got a can of tomatoes. Usually I would just use crushed, but I have peeled, so I'm going to use these peeled tomatoes. They'll break down. It's not super liquidy, but it will be in time when they break down. The second star of this is just going to be, I've got a bottle of cab. This is a Trader Joe's. I wanted to try it out. I can't imagine it's going to be very good, but for this dish it will be fine. So I'm going in with wine. What I don't want to do is completely submerge the vegetables. If you completely submerge your vegetables, you are no longer braising and you are now stewing. It's getting pretty thick too. All right, I'm gonna just put this wine to the side. I'm gonna use more as needed. Just for more of that umami flavor, I'm gonna use a tablespoon of tamari. I use tamari because I'm celiac. You could use soy sauce. And I'm gonna start turning that heat down too. It's looking good. You see this, guys? It is looking good. This is gonna be fantastic. It's going to be so, so good. There is one more item that I'm using, and that's some cabbage. Okay, this is a really good looking guy. So I'm just going to cut off some chunks of this. Braised cabbage is really super good. If you find cabbage to be odd or you're not sure what to do with it, trust me, like, braised cabbage is really amazing and even ends up having like a creamy texture. So I'm just going to use about half of a, let's call this guy a medium cabbage. Just trying to stick him in a little bit. All right. And I just want to put a little bit more wine in there. But again, we are not going to soak it. We are not going to submerge all the vegetables. And now you're going to cover it. You want it to be on a slow simmer. And we're going to let this cook for 20 minutes and then come back and check it then. God, it looks so good. This is going to actually be super delicious. It needs more liquid. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. We're going to check it. And then we're gonna add our last batch of vegetables. Ooh, it's looking good. It is cooking a little faster than I'd like, so I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. So I'm gonna go in with about a cup of kale. I always think it's good to add a green wherever you can. This is just a Trader Joe's kale. I'm gonna use about a cup of this. Wow, that is way more than a cup. Okay, I'm gonna use about a cup of this, but the one thing I don't like about already chopped kale is that it has the ribs already still attached, and I don't know why they do that. Nobody really wants that in their food. So I'm gonna remove those ribs. You know, funnily, I actually wanted to buy whole kale, but Trader Joe's didn't have whole kale. They only had bagged kale, so sometimes it's so hard to find things where I live. All right, I think I got all the big pieces out. Ooh, I think I found one. Oh, there's a couple more. So I'm just gonna give this a little bit of a rough chop because there do tend to be some big pieces in these sometimes. They're not all small pieces. So at the 20-minute mark, I did add a little bit more wine because I was looking a little bit low. So I've used about half a bottle of wine. Again, you do not have to use wine. You can just use some stock or broth, whatever you like. So I am putting sun-dried tomatoes. I think sun-dried tomatoes will give this a really great bite. And not only that, it'll give the vegetables like a little bit of sweetness, which is going to be really nice. So this is 3 ounces. So I'm going with 3 ounces of sun-dried tomatoes. I'm just going to give this a little rough chop also. Is it dark out? What time is it? Oh my god. Okay. So I'm gonna give that a stir. Man, this is looking really, really fantastic, guys. I cannot tell you. I am so excited to eat this. I'm gonna let this come back up to temperature for a second, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of water. This is just delicious looking. I am very excited to eat this. I like to taste it, see how it's doing. It's really good. Most of the alcohol has already cooked off at this point, and it just has like a great thick umami kind of feeling. So I'm just gonna pour a little bit of water in here. It's very thick and there's really not that much liquid. So I'm gonna add some water. Besides the fact that these sun-dried tomatoes will absorb some water. I am gonna pour in a little bit of hot water. Again, we do not want to immerse the vegetables in water. We always wanna have less liquid than we do vegetables in this dish. The lid's going on. We're doing 20 more minutes and this should be done. Okay, it's been about an hour and 10 minutes and I'm gonna say our braised vegetables are done. This is what we're looking at here. Doesn't this look amazing, guys? Oh my god. This looks so good. Okay. So we're just gonna finish this. So I just want to add a little bit of balsamic vinegar to finish it. And guess what? It may be a little bit acidic. We added half a bottle of wine. We added 28 ounces of tomatoes. And now we just added balsamic. So it could be a little acidic. So what are we going to do to counterbalance that acidity? One, you could add a little bit of oil. I know a lot of plant-based people aren't going to do that. Let's move on to number 2. You could add a pinch of baking soda. I'm definitely not going to do that. That's really weird for me. What I am going to do is add a tiny bit of maple syrup, just a little bit. I actually don't want this dish to be sweet. I just want to counterbalance that acidity. So I just went in with about a teaspoon. Just going to give that a mix. And to be honest, you could cook this longer than, I think I did like an hour 10. You could cook this longer. You could make the vegetables more soft. You could make the sauce thicker. It's really up to you. So let's go ahead and just put in some fresh herbs. You know, a lot of fresh herbs don't handle the heat from cooking very well. They'll break down and then you won't have any of the flavors. So I'm adding a decent amount of parsley. I've got a few basil leaves here. Just gonna cut those up quickly and throw that in. Ooh, almost got my finger in there. I'm gonna throw that on top. And lastly, I've got this rosemary plant. I'm just gonna give this a quick chop for these little leaves here. I did cook it with the rosemary leaf. Rosemary leaf? What's the word? Yeah. I did cook it with some rosemary in it. But I'm gonna add a little more to the end. I'm just gonna mix that in a little bit. Doesn't that look so amazing? Okay, this would be amazing on mashed potatoes. This would be amazing on risotto. This would be amazing on some kind of like thicker cut pasta, maybe like a rigatoni or something like that. I am using a mashed potato today. Let's go ahead and put some on there. Wow. Does that not look amazing? Holy hell. That looks so good. All right, it's time to test. Do I have a taster?
Yes.
Come on in, sir. Say hello.
Hi.
All right. This is what we are working with, folks. What do you think? We've got some kind of crusty gluten-free bread today. That's pretty lucky for us. All right, dude. Hop on in there. Get yourself a taste. It should be a little bit cooler because I did let it cool down a little bit.
That's good. That's really good.
Wow.
I'm gonna put a little bit here. That juice is really good.
The juice is everything. Literally, the juice is everything.
Always.
What do you think?
Delicious. It's like filling and hearty and earthy and all that. All put together.
The cabbage is perfect. It's so good. I don't really want to let you take this dish away.
Man, I've been waiting for that all night.
How long?
All night.
You may take the food. Thank you so much for your help.
Thank you for your cooking. Bye.
I just want to add, if you are unhappy with the amount of sauce that you have when you're done cooking your vegetables, you could remove all of your vegetables, add a little bit more stock, a little bit more wine, whatever liquid that you're choosing, and just let it cook for a few minutes until it thickens. And then you could easily have extra like broth or red wine sauce or whatever you're using to go with this. This is Trader Joe's Grand Reserve, Alexander Valley, Sonoma County, 2021. Let's try it. Cab Sav. I'm not getting a lot of aromas from it. Let's try it. So I think this was like $12 or $13. I have to say I'm pretty impressed with the 12 or 13. Yeah, I would expect this flavor from maybe like a $24 bottle. So I wouldn't say it's like the best Cab Sav I've ever had, but it's actually pretty impressive. Do you want to try it?
Taste this. Yeah, that's not bad.
Right? It's better. It's better than the.
That's hilarious.
I mean, it's better than the
Whatever.
price tag. I'm like super impressed actually.
Not bad. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. If you've watched until the end, I am so grateful for you. Thank you so very much. If you haven't liked this video, please do. Every interaction you have with the video, whether it's a like or a comment, it really helps promote the channel more. If you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. It's free. It's the best thing that you can do for my channel to help my channel grow. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week. Bye.